is on. Hi, good morning class. Hello from Argentina. I am Hector. I hope enjoy the class today. Some points before we start. 1. My English is very rusty. I mean very rusty. It is awful. So sorry for that. 2. For this reason, they are going to listen to me reading like a robot, because it's much easier for me to read all the points and not get lost. It's a pity, but it is impossible for me to do it any other way. Okay? Perfect. Today I will talk about level design for racing games, the importance of balancing your game. I am a game designer and a creative leader in a technology company called SXILL Interactive. This is my personal email. If you have any question or need to contact me after a class, feel free to do it. In SXILL Interactive, I work with different brands and companies. For example, Cartoon Network, Coca-Cola, Disney, Intel. The company has been in the business for 25 years. I have been working there for 9 years. This means that I have a certain amount of experience in dealing with users and customers. These are some of my games. Cardcore Challenge, Kid Butowski for Disney XD. Treasure Island, Shake and the Neverland Pirates for Disney Junior, and Dimensional Drift regular show for Cartoon Network. The first one, it was for USA and LATAM. The second one, it was only for LATAM, Latin America. And the third, it was only for USA. Case of success? Question mark. Regular Show is an animated series for teenagers and adults. It has a very particular humor, and the stories that happen to the main character can be interdimensional trips, romantic encounters, or fight against zombies. Everything can happen in this series. The game we designed was a multiplayer racing game with different tracks and cars, and the intention was to capture the essence of the shows in our game. This was an announced trailer for Cartoon Network.
In the racing world, regular show characters aren't known for their driving skills. But in the epic new regular show racing game Dimensional Drift, thankfully, you're the one behind the wheel.
Oh yeah!
Win races to unlock new characters, customize your karts, and race against more people online.
Yeah!
Go online to play Dimensional Drift, the epic new regular show racing game from Cartoon Network.
Make Dimensional Drift. I give me some of experience in the field of level design. It was a pleasure and headset making a good job balancing the whole game. This game I took more than 8 months of development, about 12 people between designers, programmers and QA quality assurance worked 5 days per week, 8 hours per day. It was a massive quantity of work, and it was worth it every second spent. The game had a very good launch that started for long. In less than a week, he became the most played game all Cartoon Network, reaching 1 million plays in a few days. For this reason, I chose this experience for explain a good level design. The first step in the level design for a racing game is detect which components play an important role in the user experience. These are the track, the cars, the stats of the cars, the opponents, bots, and the difficulty curve. Of course, exist other components, for example, the power-ups, if you have, the time of the track, how many laps, the number of the racers, and so on. But these 4 are the most important, and change any of these just a little can change a lot of your game, for better or worse. The track. The track of a racing game should be fun, fast, challenging, and memorable. To design the tracks, we set as a goal that these 4 highlights were present in the game, and we developed different strategies to achieve this. It is a game based on a well-known IP, and that gives us a good background to use. The regular show can be defined as very funny, but just adapting the game to the style was to stay halfway. It should we go a little further. What we did was take the sharper and iconic place of the series and try to transmit the mood of the series to the tracks. For that, we looked for 6 different places, tried to reach the full spectrum of IP. We use as reference the following chapters: Under the Hood, Dead Bear, Daddy Issues, Zombie Apocalypse, The Best VHAs in the World, and Exit B, 9B. We wanted them to be very different, by shape, palette of color, by different of schedule, climate, and even film genres. We did 6 race tracks with sunny days, rain, night, haze, dark places, terror, suspense, interiors, exteriors, warm colors, cold colors, adventure, and action. It seems a lot, but that was the idea. The user should have an entertaining and challenging experience. The tracks were designed based on different parameters to accomplish this: straight sections, open and closed curves, big and small jumps, obstacles, boosts, objects to be collected, bifurcations, and large areas of free traffic. All this had to be present in the tracks. Increasing some and decreasing others give us the results we wanted. For example, track 2 should be a fast track and have a low level of difficulty, because the user at this point was still knowing the game. It was designed with few close corners, very long sections, and simple bifurcations and few obstacles. Memorable moments. Memorable moment is a phrase used during the project. We wanted the user to have something more on each track. Don't just run and win, but also enjoy it and give it a detail, something of value to remember to the race. The iconic moments of each chapter were taken and represented on the track. This detail did not modify the gameplay. It was only for the user and for his delight. Every time I design a racetrack, I highlight the points that made that track unique, and that was how they were created. And this is the result.
Seriously? Seriously? Seriously?
2. The car stats. The characteristics of cars must be according to the style of the game and be related to each other. Balanced stats, different but not so much, and attractive. Our game should be fun, to have fun factor, to have a certain playful aspect, but at the same time to be fair with the user that had better performance in the game. To design the cars, we considered these 3 highlights. Balanced stats. To achieve balanced cars, we made variation of 3 stats: speed, acceleration, and strength. We also added a 4th parameter that was not visible to the user, only to the developers. We had more variance and more range of action to create different experience. This 4th characteristic was handling. We could make the faster car, Margaret, difficult to drive and not have too much advantage against the slower and more strength Muscleman, and it was the easiest to drive. We also leveled his low speed with acceleration, which allowed him to take maximum speed in a short time. Different, but not so much. This was a point that gave us many problems. When you start from such a famous IP, there is a background from which you cannot escape. Our intention at the beginning was to do something radical and very different from the series. We made each car very different in design, size and features that affect the whole process, characters, tracks, including gameplay. We ended up in dead ends all the time. The most obvious problem was that the cars could not have very different dimensions for each other, because we had to maintain the same size between all cars and their relationship with the track. And more importantly, the game had a shop to buy customizations and the user designed his own car. This made it impossible to have cars of very different dimensions. Even so, we achieved cars with similar characteristics: 4 wheels, convertibles, seats and the same height, but with great visual difference. We made a golf car, a lawnmower, and band, etc. Each car made different reference to some iconic chapter or object of the character. Attractive. As a final detail, we used the add-ons to add more attraction to the design of the cars. This allowed the user to edit each of the cars. These were bought with internal coin of the game. You could buy wheels, tailpipes, peanuts and horns with the character voice. 3. The opponents. As in every game, there must be a force against to achieve our goal. Sometimes it's the time, others is the environment, and other more common are the opponents. In our case, we take as opponents not only the bots, also the obstacles on the track. To create this, we had in mind 3 highlights: the obstacles, the bots, and the artificial intelligence programming. The obstacles. The obstacles were the easiest to design because they gradually increase in number and difficulty. The amount on each track was easy. I started with 2 obstacles, kept the amount on the next track and added only 1. So, on the last stage, where there was total of 7. The difficulty was the amount of time the user had to know at what point they were going to damage it. For example, on track 1, rocks fell from a mountain, but a shadow was cast on the floor before falling, giving him enough reading time to dodge him. Instead, on stage 4, there were golf balls running through all the track. Their movement pattern was very difficult, giving very little reaction time to the user. The bots. Using bots based on the character, we had already created helpers in many ways. First, it made everything more organic because they were no character unrelated to the story. Second, since production we cut a lot of work, obviously. And third, and more important, we were able to create parameters according to the cars of the user, making their behaviors more fair, to speak. In other words, the bots behaved much like a user did. Artificial intelligence, the programming. Developing an artificial intelligence for a racing game is very complex. So many parameters come into the play. It is an art in itself. It will take a whole class to talk about this. I just remarked the most important because it will be impossible to cover everything that developed in this aspect. Some points are points inside the tracks, the waypoint, speed to recover and return to waypoints, use of bifurcation intelligence, use of higher power-ups according to the track, if they were affected by obstacles, impact resistance, level of aggression, how fast they fired a power-ups, using speed bumpers, intelligence, run close to the user so they do not run alone, point of attraction. Finally, how does it balance and where is the justice? We divide into 4 groups. Group A, the less intelligent, Group B, the average intelligent, Group C, the most intelligent, and finally, a group that always follow closely to the user. 4. The difficult curve. Characteristic to note that we had in mind: the user evolution, the cards that were unlocked, the power-ups in relation to the stage of the game. Finally, we come to the curve of difficulty. That is the fusion of all the points that we have been seeing. All components must be related to each other in a conscious way. That is the way we want to do it, or at least in the right way. I make this difference because a difficult curve cannot be a random result. It must be the result of a game designer decision. The user evolution. To guide him in some way in the performance and improvement of his abilities, we had to take the user for a path of knowledge. That path had to take him gradually until he reached the final stage. Part of creative development is seen in this sketch, where you notice how the difficulty is increasing in the tracks. Once we had a cleaner sketch, we will take it to 3D and we will run tests with just the empty track and test it of paper hypothesis reflect the experience of running it. And this stage there was a lot of testing. Once we felt that the track was correct, we added the obstacles, the object to be collected, coins, the boost and the whole final set, and run it again and again and again. Unlock tracks and cars. Each track unlocked a character, and it was progressive. This happened in 2 aspects at the same time. On the one hand, as we progressed and growing to the difficulty of the tracks, we needed cars more prepared for these demands, and on the other, the user was getting to know more and more the game, and he's giving him a greater range of possibilities with choosing which character was more appropriate for this or that track. The power-ups. The game had a user level. This was given by the amount of experience points that were given when running a race, winning it, or getting in the top position. Based on this, we could know at what point the user had reached a base of knowledge and needed to have a new and challenging experience. At that point, new power-ups were unlocked with different characteristics, and the user had to adapt to them, not only to use them, but also to defend themselves, since they were unlocked for opponents as well. Every curve of difficulty ends at a point where the all knowledge is put to the test, and that turns out to be the final battle, or in this case the final track. In order to do it, we are based on an iconic chapter of this series, Exit 9B. This track had all kinds of obstacles, moving and statics, bifurcation that modify with time, opponents in the highest difficulty level, an extension of 3 laps with curves and counter-curves. It was really a challenge for the user, for having come to this instance and not to feel disappointed with an end according to the challenge. The result was a very funny and entertaining stage. This is the video.
Seriously? Seriously? Seriously?
One of the best compliments that we saw in the comments that the user left on the webpage was, "I hate and love this game." For us, it was like we made it. Thank you so much for listening to me in this worst ever English on the world. Sorry, I spoke this part in Spanish. Muchas gracias por escucharme. Perdón por mi inglés, realmente es muy malo. Espero lo hayan disfrutado de la mejor manera. Los saludos desde acá, desde Argentina, Héctor Adrián Rodera. Un abrazo.